A break for us is, I'm leaving out the house, I'm gonna go to my parents' house for a while, or you leave and you go with your mom or something like that.
No, that's not a break.
That was a break between us, and we were always back together within a month's time. It was still no excuse. A break is not an excuse to go sleep with someone and have a child by someone else at all.
How in the world do you think you making babies in this world and don't have a job? Who's supposed to take care of them, me? How do you think you cannot have a job?
What?
How do you, what?
I couldn't hear you.
No, it's called excuse me, ma'am. See, we're gonna get it right in here today. I don't know who's teaching you, but I'm gonna give you a lesson.
I'm teaching them.
When I say something, answer's not what.
Okay.
You didn't teach them correctly.
Ms. Nichols says Mr. Young denies being her 13-month-old daughter's dad. Mr. Young insists she was pregnant before they met. The awkward finger-pointing begins, and it only gets messier.
Ms. Nichols, you've dragged the defendant, Mr. Young, to court today because you say he denies he's the father of your 13-month-old daughter, Sine. You say it's time for him to step up and take responsibility. You say you refuse to accept Sine because you claim that Ms. Nichols was already pregnant when you began your relationship.
Ms. Nichols says she left Mr. Young because he cheated, while Mr. Young says she practically moved in after a Facebook chat. Their stories are worlds apart, and the drama is just getting started.
He actually started denying her when I moved out of his house because he was cheating. I've known Mr. Young for 19 years. We met when we were 15 years old, and when I met him again on Facebook, you know, we automatically moved in together.
We didn't automatically move in. She hit me up on Facebook, talking about because she'd been trying to find me. Came over, she was still on the same thing she was when I first met her, trying to get back.
Mr. Young claims Ms. Nichols had a sugar daddy paying her bills. She admits he helped, but denies anything more. This sugar daddy gave rides, meals, and cash, which only makes this mess even crazier.
And who is this man?
He's a friend of mine.
Do you have sex with him?
No, I do not.
You don't have
How
to...
old is he?
73.
Whoa, he calls him your sugar daddy. What does he do for you?
Any and everything I ask him to. Since he wants to go there, he had no problem with this man when we were hungry, and I would call him and he would bring us something to eat. You know, anything I called and asked this man for, he would come.
The court tries to sort out the pregnancy timeline, but Mr. Young says the dates don't add up. Ms. Nichols says the baby was born early, but Mr. Young's not buying it. Tensions rise just in time for the lie detector results.
Do you remember the night you believe you conceived?
I say around the middle of November, around the 15th, give or take.
This conception date, your due date would be approximately August 12th, 2015. And when was Sine born?
May 28th. She was 11 weeks early, Your Honor.
This leads you to believe this is not your biological child.
This just didn't really add up to me. It was dark and...
It says Ms. Nichols was truthful about not sleeping with anyone else, but she lied about her sugar daddy. Mr. Young jumps on this as proof, just as birth certificate drama heats up next.
When we asked you if once you began a sexual relationship, did you have sexual intercourse with anyone else, you said yes.
Wow.
And the lie detector determined you were being truthful.
Mr. Young says he never signed the birth certificate, but the court shows it with his name on it. There's even a photo of him cuddling the baby at the hospital. Just when you think it can't get more dramatic, the DNA results come in.
So you say you didn't sign this birth certificate?
I don't recall signing nothing, ma'am.
Did he go to the hospital?
Yes, he was there. That's him while she was still in the hospital.
That's a beautiful picture. You don't look like you have doubt in that picture.
Your Honor, her attitude and the way she treats me, bogus. That's why I want to make sure that I'm taking care of a child that's mine.
Mr. Young, you are her father.
And surprise.
This wild case kicks off with Benning vs. Bodine. Mr. Benning suspects he isn't the father after his partner's affair, but Ms. Bodine insists he is. Get ready, things are about to get heated.
Mr. Benning, you recently appeared in couples court and it was confirmed that the defendant cheated on you. This infidelity has caused questions regarding your 2-year-old daughter, Robin, and 6-month-old son, Jermaine Jr.'s paternity. Although you are hopeful that both are your children.
Mr. Benning talks about his deep bond with his daughter, Robin. He dreamed of having a daughter after losing his mom, and Robin was his dream come true. But knowing what's coming next makes this feel like the calm before the storm.
First off, Your Honor, my mother passed away when I was 14 years old. She was my best friend. We spent every waking moment together. After she died, it, left me hurt. I always wanted a daughter, and I promised I was going to take care of her and treat her like my mother took care of me.
Oh, that's
so
wonderful.
I've always stuck by with that.
So having a daughter has been so important to you.
So important. I waited first.
While Ms. Bodine was giving birth, Mr. Benning got a text saying someone else was the father. Despite the shock, he signed the birth certificate and stayed calm. His loyalty in that moment is impressive, but things are about to unravel.
It actually happened during labor, Your Honor. I was in the hospital sitting across from Kayla. She was pushing this baby out, and I received a text from a guy telling me to leave the hospital because that's his baby and he needs to be there.
What?
I am in labor, like literally in the hospital. And I received a text telling me that the child that I'm waiting to come isn't mine.
Ms. Bodine had already tested another possible father, and it came back negative. Mr. Benning isn't reassured, wondering if there are more possibilities.
How do you know this other guy is not the biological father?
Because, Your Honor, I stood up, did the woman and the mother thing I had to do, and got the other guy tested.
Oh.
And he wasn't the father.
And you submitted those results to the court?
Yes, I did.
That the probability of paternity between you and this other guy is 0%.
Yes.
The tension keeps building. Mr. Benning talks about how hard it is to raise Robin while doubting she's his. He describes the pain of people claiming to be her dad. Just when it's almost too much, the DNA results come in.
Stan, what does that feel like when she says that to you, Mr. Benning?
That little girl right there is my mother come back to be with me.
And
When
she
you
looks
tell me
just
that,
like your
when you tell
mother.
me
She's
she's
her
not mine, it feels like you're taking my mother away from me again.
Look at them. Look, they're twins.
She's beautiful.
They are.
They do look a lot alike.
The results are in.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Benning, you are not the father.
What the?
Miss McCrary says Mr. Goodson hasn't done anything for their 18-month-old daughter, Arian. He denies being the father and doesn't think he belongs there. Drama's about to heat up, and it gets spicy real quick.
Ms. McCrary, you have petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove that the defendant is the father of your miracle baby, 18-month-old Arian McCrary.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim Mr. Goodson has done nothing for your daughter, but today, that's going to change.
Miss McCrary vents about Mr. Goodson barely being around for their daughter. She gets emotional about having her first child and how much Arian means to her. This story is full of layers, and it's about to get deeper.
He has been to a certain extent. One hand, how many times?
One hand in 17 months, you can count?
Yes, Your Honor, and counting.
And when you see her?
That's my miracle baby. You know, conceive. You know, when you're in a relationship with a man for so many years, you know, you have unprotected sex, you're trying to get pregnant, things of that nature, it doesn't happen. You think you can't get pregnant.
Miss McCrary claims Mr. Goodson ignored her and their baby when she saw him with his other family. He denies it, saying he didn't see the child. It's a heated back and forth, and neither is backing down.
Did you walk past Arian in the store and not even acknowledge her at all?
That's not true. We actually seen each other at the same time. She was coming, and I was going toward the checkout. She was going, I guess she was going to get an item or something. And we never said, I didn't even know that Arian was with her. Yes,
But you are not acknowledging that you are the father of this beautiful baby.
Mr. Goodson says their relationship started casually, but then caught feelings. He accuses Miss McCrary of being secretive with her phone. This fling is getting messy, and the drama is just beginning.
Every time we got together, it was like her phone used to ring a lot, and she come over there. You know, we stayed on two different sides of town. She'll come over there probably a day or two, and I might not hear from her, a couple more days after that, or whenever she's around. Her phone is just constantly going off, and she was always secretive about it. So
what was the nature of
it
this?
was friends hanging out, and
Miss McCrary reveals Mr. Goodson was still married when they were together. Judge Lake reminds everyone that separated isn't divorced. The situation is wild, and it only gets crazier.
You wanted to make things a little more serious. How serious could it get when you already had another person?
well, we was married but separated, and she was just like, nah, that's not what I want right now, and this, so
But do you blame her maybe being a little nervous because even though you were separated, you were still married? And I always say a man is married until he is divorced.
Okay.
It's just, that's the way it is.
Miss McCrary vividly describes the night she thinks she got pregnant, complete with a stop at American Deli. She talks about their unprotected fun and how sure she is about the timing. Just when you think that's enough, the details keep coming.
He picked me up that night from work, July the 10th. If I'm not mistaken, we got American Deli, okay? He likes to eat. I like to eat. Not a problem. Extra chicken, extra cheese, sub sandwich. When you're grown, you're nasty, you get in tune. I like the things he do to me, vice versa. We enjoy each other. Why not? We're grown. We hadn't had protected sex, so come on. At the end of the day.
Miss McCrary says Mr. Goodson initially promised to support her, but then backed out. He now questions why she even called him, claiming they hadn't been intimate for months. The tension keeps rising, and the arguments are about to explode.
What happens when you find out you're pregnant?
Well, of course, I told family members they were up for my decision, and I had to just sit and, think about it. So when I told him, he was just up for it. I rub your stomach, take you to the doctor's appointment. I just felt like, oh, okay, well, maybe he heard for me. Got me thinking that, it's gonna be all okay. It was not all okay. You know, I didn't want to be by myself.
Mr. Goodson claims Miss McCrary admitted to being with someone else during the pregnancy. He's skeptical due to a previous false paternity claim. The drama keeps escalating with no end in sight.
Thought about it because as a woman, you saying a real woman shouldn't have sex with other men, but at the end of the day, when you go back to your dates, a real woman know who she having sex with. You know, when I told him my date and I went back and told him when it happened, why, you know, what we was doing, it could be a possibility. Oh yeah.
Mr. Goodson admits he visited the hospital after the birth, but didn't sign the certificate because of doubts. Miss McCrary argues he should have stepped up anyway. Now, DNA results are coming, and the truth is about to be revealed.
Did you sign the birth certificate for Arian?
No, I did not. I just didn't want to tie myself to that responsibility until I knew that she was mine.
It takes two, Your Honor. You come with chump change. Don't do that. You know, you help me. If I have something I don't have, I'm gonna tell you what I have. You can't even foot a half bill. And then, come on now, you saying that I bailed out on you. Make it make sense, baby.
Judge Lake reveals the DNA results.
Has been determined by this court. Mr. Goodson, you are the father.
Oh, okay.
Judge Lake opens Thomas v. Zachary, with Mr. Thomas wanting a DNA test for 15-month-old Hannah. He says he was tricked into signing the birth certificate and now faces child support. Miss Zachary insists he's the dad and should step up.
Mr. Thomas, you claim you've been petitioning the court system for a DNA test for 15-month-old Hannah Thomas for more than a year now. Now, you've been notified that you will be paying because you signed the birth certificate, but claim it was under false pretenses.
The relationship timeline is a roller coaster. Breakups, reunions, and a surprise pregnancy. Mr. Thomas thought the baby was his until doubts crept in. Now he questions everything, and it's about to get intense.
Your Honor, me and Rakaya were separated towards July, maybe for a couple weeks. August, we got back together, you know, towards the end of August, beginning of September, she told me I feel pregnant. And we went to buy like maybe 4 or 5 pregnancy tests that day.
Your Honor, I found out that I was pregnant September 18th, to be exact with you. I went to that doctor's appointment and I came home, I handed him the papers. This is my results at the doctor. This is my proof of pregnancy.
Mr. Thomas claims the pregnancy timeline is way off from what he expected. He believes Miss Zachary lied, but she says she was carrying twins, which changed things. More drama follows as they revisit their break.
First time ever having twin children, and I didn't know at the time that I was even carrying twins.
We went to the doctor, maybe probably was about 3 or 4 weeks later, and the doctor was telling her, yeah, you need to stop smoking cigarettes. Telling me like, look, you need to be honest about smoking cigarettes. Here's her paperwork. And he showed me the paperwork, and it said 15 or 17 weeks or something like that. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute, y'all.
No.
Ms. Zachary admits seeing someone else during their break, but still claims Mr. Thomas is the dad. He's not buying it and questions her actions. Their arguments escalate, making the courtroom feel tense.
Had been on a break over a month and a half when I was with the other guy in July.
A break for us is I'm leaving out the house, I'm gonna go to my parents' house for a while, or you leave and you go with your mom or something.
No, that's
like
not
that.
a break.
That was a break between us, and we were always back together within a month's time. It was still no excuse. A break is not an excuse to go sleep with someone and have a child by someone else at all.
The couple shares their grief over losing one twin, Heather. Mr. Thomas says his way of coping was different, and Ms. Zachary says it made her feel he doubted the babies were his. The heartbreak only adds to the tension.
We had twins. Hannah is a twin. It was Hannah and Heather. Heather was the big one. She ended up passing away a month after she was born.
I'm sorry.
You know,
right, what did you put me through the whole time? Was you supportive on that?
We grieved in 2 different ways. Oh my God, I don't want to leave the house. I'm stressed. Like, she was looking at me like I didn't have any type of sympathy about what was going on.
Ms. Zachary kept seeing the other man after Hannah was born. Confirmed by Mr. Thomas's stepdaughter, she saw another man around their home, even in their bed. Things keep unraveling as more secrets emerge.
She was still sleeping with this man after Hannah was born. Matter of
That's
fact,
how it was, because we decided that we wasn't going to be together. We've been on and off for 5 years.
The guy that's Hannah's dad, he just slept with her 2 weeks ago.
Really,
We were on a break for a month. She just slept with him 2 weeks ago in my bed. She didn't go to his house. She didn't go to a hotel. It was the bed that we shared.
Mr. Hill, Mr. Thomas's uncle, says Ms. Zachary showed him pictures of another possible dad. He claims she seemed unsure who the father was. This adds more weight to Mr. Thomas's demand for a DNA test.
I don't think that he is the father of Hannah.
You don't?
The reason why is because she just don't look like him. And another reason, one time me and, Rakaya was hanging out in the house. They had got into it. He had left to get some air. She had actually showed me pictures of who she really thought was the baby's dad.
Judge Lake decides a DNA test is necessary after hearing all the chaos. Both Mr. Thomas and Ms. Zachary agree, clearly anxious about what's coming. The courtroom clears with everyone anticipating the results.
Anything you'd like to say, Ms. Zachary?
I just want to say I made mistakes. I never meant to hurt anybody. I'm nervous, I'm scared. I just want him to be her dad. That's it.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Thomas, you are her father.
This case starts wild. Ms. Jones wants Mr. Houston to pay for their baby, but Mr. Houston and his mom say this is all about jealousy. Buckle up, this is just the start of the drama.
Ms. Jones, you and your mother say you are tired of the defendant's denial. He's the biological father of your 6-month-old son, and once the DNA results prove your claim, you demand to be reimbursed for Baby Lyric's child care expenses.
Ms. Jones dumped Mr. Houston before prom, calling him immature, while he accuses her of cheating. His mom even brings up some suspicious texts, but Ms. Jones denies everything. Drama keeps piling up as they discuss the pregnancy.
Well, Your Honor, he was so immature that I had to break it off with him a week before prom. He let everybody in his ear. He doesn't have a brain for himself.
Were you boyfriend and girlfriend?
Yes, we were boyfriend and girlfriend.
In high school?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Houston, do you think for yourself?
No.
You don't? Who thinks for you?
Yes, you do, honey.
Ms. Jones waited until she was 8 months pregnant to tell Mr. Houston, avoiding his family's drama. Mr. Houston's mom thinks it's just to cause problems for him and his new girlfriend. More bombshells are coming.
I found out June 3rd that I was pregnant. And then, once I scheduled the date for my actual appointment to see how far along I was a whole month pregnant because of all the drama that I went through with being with him. And so I knew that they were probably going to deny my baby. I told him when I was 8 months because I had to.
Told him when you were 8 months?
Yes.
Oh, my mom.
Mr. Houston's girlfriend and mom claim Ms. Jones mentioned other possible dads. Ms. Jones denies it, insisting she was only with Mr. Houston. His mom adds stories about shady phone calls, and tensions rise.
He seen Nigel come in and he said, is this the dude that dated Nakisha? And I said, yeah, that's him. And he was like, the dude told me, and that's over there, Stock told him that he was the father of her child.
How was I even supposed to cheat or anything when I was with him the whole time?
No,
when
you
did I
were
ever
not.
have time to
No,
cheat?
you were not.
I was working the whole time.
She was
I
back.
at the house. So when did I ever have time to cheat?
The judge steps in, scolding Mr. Houston for being jobless and his mom for not teaching him responsibility. She delivers the truth. If you're making babies, get a job. The courtroom applauds, gearing up for the DNA reveal.
How in the world do you think you making babies in this world and don't have a job? Who's supposed to take care of them? Me? How do you think you cannot have a job?
What?
What?
I couldn't hear you.
It's called excuse me, ma'am. See, we're gonna get it right in here today. I don't know who's teaching you, but I'm gonna give you a lesson.
I'm teaching them.
When I say something, answer's not what.
Okay.
You didn't teach them correctly. Mr. Houston, you are the father.
Boom! Yeah.
Miss Jones?
Mr. Reed says it's impossible he's Lucas's dad, and the judge kicks off Whittier v. Reed. He doubts he's the father due to medical reasons, while Ms. Whittier just wants them to stop fighting. This case is about to get messy, so buckle up.
Ms. Whittier, you say that you are sure Mr. Reed is the father of your 22-month-old son, Lucas, but the defendant's paternity doubts have led to constant fighting and tension in your relationship. You desperately hope to prove he is the father to save your family.
One bad argument turned everything upside down. Ms. Whittier blurted out, "How do you even know he's yours?" Oops, big mistake, because Mr. Reed started doubting everything. Things are already awkward, and it's about to get worse when the exes show up.
Shortly before Lucas's birth, we had an argument. That argument led to the ultimate gonna shut him up kind of moment. So I said, well, how do you know if it's even yours?
You say that in the argument?
Yes. I never doubted it was his, but I just kind of wanted to end the argument and let it be done. And I've regretted that statement ever since I made it.
Their love story starts like a failed movie rescue. Mr. Reed thought Ms. Whittier's kid was drowning, but she was just swimming. Heroic fail led to dinner, sparks flying, and romance. It was all great until exes and arguments crashed the party.
Tried to save my toddler that he thought was drowning. He didn't realize she could swim.
Oh, that's cute.
It was a baby, and she was adorable, cute little stubby thing running around the pool in a little swimmer diaper. Jumps in the pool, so I'm laying in a lawn chair, getting my tan on. Now, here she goes. I look up, she jumps in the pool, and I'm right behind her, and I come up looking for her, swimming around.
Enter the exes, and it turns into a full-on soap opera. Mr. Reed's ex whispers, "What if Lucas isn't yours?" While Ms. Whittier's ex sends a not-so-great video. Trust issues everywhere.
When did the plot twist come?
With his ex-girlfriend.
Okay.
The conflict started between me and her. Well, then she starts whispering in his ear, oh, well, what if it's not yours? There was some argument. An ex of mine decided to be disgusting, send a very vulgar message to my phone. He found it and thought that maybe there was some continuing relationship there.
Ms. Whittier faced a scary blood clot during pregnancy and called Mr. Reed for support. Despite his doubts, he came to be by her side, proving he still cared. They survived this, but bigger challenges awaited after Lucas was born.
Until I got sick. I had a blood clot, and they put me in the hospital, put me on blood thinners, and they said the blood thinners carry a massive risk, neither one of you making it through. And I called him and I said, you need to come home.
I'd never been so scared in my life.
And I told him that I didn't know if Lucas was gonna make it.
All I could do not to cry too, but I knew as a man that I needed to be strong.
Baby Lucas started having seizures and was diagnosed with albinism, leaving his parents in shock. Mr. Reed, proud of his healthy genes, couldn't understand it, fueling more doubts. The court brought in an expert to explain this condition.
On its surface, when they first told me, I laughed because I didn't realize how serious it was. We all hear the word albino. Nobody actually thinks about what it means. And suddenly you realize it doesn't just mean that he's pale and blonde and blue-eyed. It means that his skin can't take sunlight.
The only huge doubt I had is the albinism. That was a physical proof.
The genetics expert explained that albinism comes from recessive genes, which can happen even if neither parent shows it. Science is weird like that. It helped clear things up, but Mr. Reed still needed solid proof.
Albinism is passed genetically from the parents to the child, but depending on which gene is affected, depends on whether both parents or one parent passes it.
Oh.
Normally, albinism trait or recessive, and when it meets a copy of itself, meaning both parents having the albinism, the same gene affected, then it becomes dominant.
The DNA results are in.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Reed, you are the father.